Kicked out from the Hogan leg drop. That has Hollywood stunned.
Yes, Malone can use the diamond cutter. And look at Goldberg. He's ready.
He's poised. Hogan goes down.
Okay, there's part one. Now finish him off. Finish him off.
He's calling for it.
This is it. This is it. Your career's on the line here. Do it. Do it. This place will erupt when he picks him up.
He's got him up. Oh, hell yeah. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you.
Climb the ladder, kid. Make yourself famous. I just had an out-of-body experience. What did we just see? What did we just see?
He got him in a power slam. He got him in a power slam. He got it. Simmons got it. Simmons has won the match. Simmons is the champion.
I've always maintained that reality is for people who can't face drugs.
Shit is about to get real.
You'll get to see no knee deep.
Look at the stare of the champion against the challenger.
And now, Straight Talk Society presents Wrestling with Reality.
The following announcement has been paid for by the New World Order.
It's going to be the biggest battleground in the history of our sport. The biggest match in pro wrestling history.
The two biggest superstars in our sport in the biggest event the sport has ever seen. The biggest match in the history of our sport.
Enough is enough. That's enough. No! Oh, God, that's enough! Stop it! Fail! It's tougher than a $2 steak. Who is your daddy? Who's your daddy, Undertaker? Slam! Choke slam! Who's your daddy, Undertaker? Lucifer's lips on the biggest times in the WWE! Somebody stop this! Somebody stop the damn man! Enough's enough! What? The irresistible force meeting the immovable object. WWE Dynamite.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? It's time. Let's rock.
I can't do it. We'll do it live.
Let the slaughter begin!
We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Oh, it's live, Hal.
Sorry.
All right. Muted. All right, show's over. Can't top that video. See you guys next week. What's up, Straight Talk Society? Welcome to another edition of Wrestling with Reality. Let me go ahead and bring in my co-host. What's up, fellas?
Yo, what's up?
What's up, man? What's going on?
All right, I'm about to end the show.
Okay.
See you guys next week. Yeah. What the hell could I do after that? All right. Yeah. Peace, you guys can hear me good?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna man, my headphones messed up on me last week, so I got to get some new ones because these are sounding like crap to me. But yeah, like I say, what's up, Straight Talk Society? This is episode 4 of Wrestling with Reality. And we decided to do something really fun tonight. So the name of this episode is the Week in Wrestling Roundup, something to that effect. I'll get it right. Oh, it's right in front of me. This Week in Wrestling Roundup. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna hit a couple of top stories for the week and just discuss it. Eventually I'll put the link in the chat. If you guys want to hop on, you can hop on the panel. We don't plan to be on here too long because Florida is basically underwater tonight. So I don't know how long we're going to have a good connection. So we want to just try to knock this out real quick. But Bones, you had some interesting. Well, let me before we get to that, how much wrestling have you guys watched since WrestleMania?
I watched the Raw after WrestleMania, and it was so bad. So this past Raw, I watched just a little bit of it. I haven't watched SmackDown. I watched AEW. I watched a little bit of New Japan, and I watched MLW and some Ring of Honor.
Yeah, worst Raw in the history of Raw.
Like within the first hour, they only had one match, and that one match lasted 3 minutes. So literally within the first hour, you had 3 minutes of wrestling. And then when Seth Rollins came out and then didn't say a word, I don't know.
What about you, Venkat?
I didn't see as much as you guys know. But see, I just saw a few highlights. Just a few highlights. I've been busy working, but yeah, I only saw a few little highlights on SmackDown. Saw Sami Zayn. Man, Sami Zayn seemed to be getting buried right now. I don't know, but he just it's not the same right now for him. And yeah, that's it. Just little things here and there. Also saw a very troubling headline with Eddie Guerrero's daughter. I just saw today, but that's another story.
Yeah, we'll get to that. So Bones, you said Bones hit me up earlier and asked what we're going to do the show because he has something that he wanted to talk about. So let's start with you. What was so pressing in the headlines for you?
All right. Well, a few months ago, anybody who read the dirt sheets, it was rumors about WWE signing Jay White because it was a well-known fact that his New Japan contract was ending. And Trevor, I even told you that I feel like he is a WWE guy because he don't do like the flips and all that kind of stuff. There's nothing fancy about his wrestling style, but he's more of a storyteller, and he's a good heel, And he's either Australian or from New Zealand, but he's like a Aussie guy, so he got that accent to come along with him. But he had his last match in New Japan, I believe, like a month ago, and people were wondering where he was going to go. So last week in AEW on Dynamite, within like the first 20 minutes in the first segment, basically, he came out and helped out Juice Robinson, Rock Hard Juice Robinson. And they're Bullet Club affiliates. So a lot of people were surprised that he ended up signing with AEW instead of WWE. And I feel like a big reason that happened is because Vince is back, plain and simple. Because I know for a fact Triple H is going after him, but I feel like if Vince wasn't there, then Triple H would have been able to get his hands on him and probably sway him more. But with the company being in the headlines the way it is, for the negativity and stuff like that, I wouldn't want to have to sign with WWE.
So real quick, let me a couple parts question here. Jay White, I don't know who he is. I heard the name, so I heard his name and big signing from New Japan, blah 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 blah. So I don't know who he is. From everything that I heard, what's going on? Shalimar Zero. From everything I heard, he was like 80% heading towards WWE. So now here's my question. Normally these contracts are done way in advance. So Vince getting back in power just happened a few weeks ago. So could it be that they were just playing us the whole time? Because it wasn't like, oh, he was going to sign the day after WrestleMania. Then he heard Vince was in power. So he was like, no, let me call AEW. That's not how these contracts work. He could have been using one against the other for negotiations the whole time.
Well, even though Vince has been back a few weeks publicly, I feel like he's been lurking in the shadows and been, putting ideas in. He had his fingerprints on stuff as far as maybe like a few months ago, honestly.
Yep.
But publicly, they want to think he's only been back a few weeks. But I started seeing signs of Vince booking when the product started dying down a little bit, When I started seeing the WrestleMania build, and then what really confirmed it was the Brock and Omos match. That was 100% Vince. And I
Yeah.
feel like just the WrestleMania build itself just was a dead giveaway. Because Vince can't sit back and not keep his hands on WrestleMania because that's like his child, that's like his baby, you know. So he wasn't gonna let Triple H, take full control of that.
So okay, yeah, I'm not going to disagree with you on that. Because again, I don't know him, so it's not like if it was Okada, then I'd be like, oh crap, how did you let Okada get away? But Jay White, I think you even said it on a couple of shows that the Bullet Club like legit just promotes the next guy up as their leader. So, but I mean, from what I've seen of him, he's ripped and everything like that. So, whatever. That's not my thing. But
Well,
his
I was
go
gonna
ahead.
say I'll admit I'm not the biggest Jay White fan. I don't think WWE like missed the boat big time by not signing Jay White, But at the same time, I do feel like he was a good fit, and I think they'll be okay without him. But I honestly thought that he was gonna sign with him. Though I was surprised.
Well, that was my next question. And jump in at any time, Venkat. I don't know how much you know about this guy, but when AJ Styles signed, big deal, big deal.
Because AJ made his mark in an area in North America that's known.
But exactly, that's what I'm saying. If this Jay White guy, was such a game changer, AEW wouldn't have introduced him in a segment with Juice Robinson. They would have had him attacking the champion or something. Don't you think?
Well, it's a storyline because Juice Robinson, like I said, they're friends and everything, and he's a heel, so him attacking MJF wouldn't really make sense. I think they
Why
want to
not
keep them apart
Why not attack Adam Cole?
because they're Bullet Club affiliates. Also, he was part of the Bullet Club.
Why not attack Danielson? Why not attack Claudio? Why? I'm just saying, why not attack somebody with a bigger name? And I
But
get,
see, but
I don't know
wait a
who this
minute,
guy
hold up,
is, but
wait a minute. But see, for any hardcore AEW fan, Ricky Starks is one of the top 5 faces in the company, so he attacked the right person,
all right,
Ricky Starks just came off of a feud with Jericho. Jericho just put him over. They're trying to build him up, so that's why they had him. Jay White is kind of giving him a rub a little bit. So
yeah, I'm not gonna dispute you against the whole AEW New Japan guy. It's just weird. I'd like to know the details of that contract, and it would never come out. Like from everything I heard, he was so close, or it was basically like everybody was saying they're just waiting for the time for him to show up. Then all of a sudden he shows up in AEW. But I'm not going to be the hypocrite here. I always said WWE could stand to trim 40% of their roster. I mean, honestly. But what was the other story you had?
Well, the other story I had was also a New Japan story. On April 8th, it was morning time over here, but it was like nighttime over there. The reigning and defending IWGP Heavyweight Champion Kazuchika Okada, he was dethroned and defeated by Sonata, and it was a shock because Sonata isn't somebody who you would think to be a champion, but lately he's been getting a major push. But I thought they were doing the WWE model where they push a guy, like push a good heel, just for him to be dethroned by the current champion, like what John Cena did 1,000 times to people. But they actually he was a part of LIJ, Los Ingobernables de Japón, which was heel faction in New Japan, and they became kind of like one of those heel factions, those bad guys that became real cool. They'll dress up with the tuxedos and then like the mask and everything, and people started cheering them. And it was 3 people. Naito was the leader. You had Evil and you had Sonata. So Sonata was kind of like the third guy, and him and Evil was a tag team. So he was basically considered a tag team kind of guy. And then he fought Okada for the belt 3 years ago, and Okada beat him, and kind of decisively. So then he went away for a while. He came back, and now he started his own faction called Just Five Guys. and he completely changed his look because before he had a blonde mohawk and everything. Now he just got the casual black buzz cut hair, and he got shorts now and everything. So he got different attire, different ring entrance, different everything, different swag, and he's a heel. And he fought Okada for the belt, and he won clean too.
I know Okada is a big thing in Japan.
Yeah.
Any chance this may be signaling a move for him to come over here?
I doubt it. I haven't heard anything about that. Plus, I don't see him leaving New Japan because he's king over there. Like of the modern era of New Japan, obviously you got Antonio Ioki and everything like that. But as far as the modern era, it's Okada, and it's just it. It's Okada the Rainmaker. You also got Tanahashi too. Tanahashi is a good one too, but Okada, he's known for having the championship rings, and he's also known for bringing New Japan out of a dark hole. When they were kind of doing bad in the ratings over there and everything like that, nobody was talking about them. In the public eye, they put the belt on Okada. And he, just took the company to new heights.
They're Stone Cold.
Yeah, he's their version of Stone Cold, but the only difference is Stone Cold went everywhere though. So I mean, I've watched.
What do you mean? What do you mean went everywhere?
Stone Cold was in ECW. Stone Cold was in WCW. Stone Cold was in WWF. Stone Cold probably wrestled matches in Japan. I'm just saying, Okada. Nobody knows Okada outside of the. And I'm not disparaging him. I'm just saying nobody knows him outside of like that internet. Like
IWC basically.
Only the IWC. You can't go to any casual wrestling fan and say Kazuchika Okada or whatever, however you say his name.
I agree.
If you lined up 10 American wrestlers and he was the other one, now you wouldn't do him all American because you pick him up by his name. But if you just lined up 10 random wrestlers and he's supposed to be the best wrestler in the world from everything Dave Meltzer says, nobody would know who he was that wasn't IWC. So I'm just saying he may be making a transition to do some type of forbidden door type thing to come over to AEW. I know he wouldn't come to WWE, but I wouldn't be surprised if I saw him in AEW.
But my problem is this: if I was a New Japan star, I would not want to come to WWE because of the past people like Shinsuke. Come on, Shinsuke should be way bigger than what he is. You got even Asuka, she should be bigger than what she is. You had Kairi Sane. How do she came, she was here, and she became happy, and she left. Different people. So
Asuka didn't lose for almost 2 years though.
But that was because she was in NXT. That was an NXT Asuka.
I mean, but Asuka didn't lose for almost 2 years. Kairi Sane came in and won the Mae Young Classic and became champion all in her first year, beating Shayna Baszler, and she beat Bianca Belair. Shinsuke Nakamura and Sami Zayn still have one of the greatest NXT matches I ever seen in my life. The main denominator here is Vince McMahon. I mean, I think any Japanese wrestler would do good over here. Not under the tutelage of Vince. I mean, because now Triple H is pushing Io Sky in a feud with Bianca, and that's going to be tremendous.
About that too.
It's kind of hard to think that the Japanese wrestlers, they take the wrestling super serious. They train religiously and as intense as anybody in the world. They take that craft really seriously. So when they come over to the United States and they're like jobbers or they're just barely making it, it kind of seems disingenuous because they should really be doing more. And there should be, I think the biggest Asian star had to be, as far as in American eyes, has to be the Great Muta.
Yeah, Muta, definitely.
But even with, Muta did win the NWA International Championship. I know that, but he should have had more, especially in that '89 to 90 run that he had, that 1 year he spent with the NWA, he made such a huge impact. He did win the TV title, but I wish he would have. And then he got disrespected on Starrcade 89 Future Shock. He lost every match. He did good in the matches, but he still lost every match.
He cheated every match.
What?
He cheated every match, though.
He got frustrated. He because he kept losing. So he got to a point where he said, "Frig it, man. I'm not going to win anything. I might as well just hurt somebody." And I get it, but it's just that it should have been a lot more. And Muta was so awesome. He should have went a lot further on in WCW or wherever. But a lot of the Asian stars, they do come up short, and then they have those hard to watch segments when they talk and they have stereotypes. Oh my God! So Vince McMahon's limitations in his brain is stopping the progress of these wrestlers. This isn't basketball or boxing, where it's a real fight or a real game and it takes real ability and whatnot. A lot of what happens in wrestling is the viewpoints of a person, usually a white old man. And that limited viewpoint of Vince McMahon is holding back so much greatness.
So, okay, let me ask you this then: who's the great Asian star in AEW right now?
You talking about me?
No, Bones would know that.
You got this kid. I can't think of his name right now. You got the one.
I know who you're talking about. I know who you're talking about. Yeah. I know exactly who you're talking about. Yeah, I like him. I can't remember his name either, but
exactly.
But he's a young up and coming guy though. But it's not like he's been around forever.
But one person who they did have a chance to sign when they did the Cruiserweight Classic was Kota Ibushi. He's real good too.
He's all man. Shit, Kota Ibushi and Cedric Alexander from the CWC. Man, that was woo, jeez, wow. But again, that was under Triple H's watch. I mean, I'm just saying, man.
That's his name, Toke Kateshka.
Okay, I heard something today, and I don't know how true it is, but I'm hearing that once the Endeavor deal closes, that and once they get like the full control of the board, like the most voting seats, that they're planning on voting Vince out. So,
that'd be awesome.
Yeah, hopefully that happens because I'm gonna tell you, this Monday Night Raw was so bad. Was so bad, and I'm gonna use this as a segue into the next topic. Monday Night Raw was so terrible after WrestleMania that I didn't even watch SmackDown. I haven't missed a SmackDown in years because SmackDown is generally just a really good show. So what I did see, the highlight I did see of SmackDown, Triple H came out. I said he was coming out to give his farewell speech, but he came out. He came out to announce the WWE draft. So that's the next topic I want to hit on. The WWE draft is returning in a couple of weeks, and I say that the WWE draft is the biggest waste of time because right now they don't honor the brand split. Your champion isn't going to wrestle on the next pay-per-view. So it's like they don't have enough tag teams to justify having 2 belts. It's like, so what my whole thing is, there was a time where the draft worked when it first came out, and then you had the SmackDown 6 where Paul Heyman was booking SmackDown, and you had your Eddie Guerreros, you had Chris Benoit, you had Rey Mysterio, you had Kurt Angle, you had Edge. Those guys, you had an up-and-coming Brock Lesnar. Undertaker was over there. Those guys had SmackDown as the must-watch show, and there wasn't any of this, oh, I'm a Raw guy, let me show up on SmackDown. It was none of that. They respected it, and they kept it for what it was, and they would only get together like at main, on pay-per-views, and then it was special. WWE is a company that notoriously can't get out of their own way, and they don't even respect the rules that they make. So I don't think this. I honestly think they should do away with the brand split. There should be, if there's going to be one champion, which I don't think it should be, but the champion should go from Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. And that's with every belt. I would love to see the tag team champions. There's some teams over in NXT that are better than teams on the main roster. I mean, you have Raquel Gonzalez and what's the little girl? Liv Morgan just won the tag team.
Oh my goodness! Don't get me started on that.
But
Man,
you got.
Sorry, go ahead.
You got Katana Chance and Casey Catanzaro's been over on NXT. They're better than anybody. Like, why aren't they on the main roster? So I think the tag team champions should just travel because there's not enough good teams. Again, you guys think I don't ever say anything about AEW that's good. AEW's tag team division is far superior, especially that the Revival just re-signed. So what's your thoughts on this brand split?
Man, one quick point. That WrestleMania tag team showcase match with the women, Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler won, but the next night, 2 other teams fought for the title shot who lost the match the night before.
And the runner-ups.
Yeah, and then they ended up getting the title shot, and now they're the champions. It just, I don't understand.
I think what happened, because you did hear that a lot of them had bad travel, but it's still, why book the match though? Yeah, that makes
you didn't have to book it.
That makes that, bro.
That's just crazy stuff, man.
So I come in
have some crazy situations.
I come in 3rd place and I get to be the champion now. That's crazy.
One team that I love and I've been following them since day one in NXT UK is Gallus.
Oh, I love Gallus,
bro. Oh, they're a great tag team,
and they will whoop anybody's ass on the main roster.
Yes,
legit.
They would.
They probably just would legit just beat up anybody in the main roster. But they're a tremendous tag team. Like, so you have the unified tag team belt. So you still got Zayn and KO walking around with 4 belts. So one is technically the Raw belt, one is technically the SmackDown belt, and NXT has their belts. But there's probably only maybe 15 legitimate tag teams on the 3 brands. Why not make one champion and just have that champion just continuously float? Even if they don't want to go to NXT, have the NXT guys do a ranking system where they get a chance to come up to the main roster and contend for the belt, and every now and then let them win.
Trevor, you're making too much sense there.
Yeah,
that's not how this works.
but
that's do stuff like that.
That's what I'm saying. Wouldn't you think? Okay, if a rookie on my developmental brand, a team that's constantly building up wins, and then they get a shot at the main champions and they win, and then they take those belts back to their brand. What now happens? You just made that brand much better, and now you get more eyeballs on the brand. It makes too much sense. It just does.
Yeah.
In my opinion, they should still keep the rosters separate, Raw and SmackDown, but just have one champion as far as tag team champions, and then you can have you're still Universal Champion on whichever brand, and then your other heavyweight champion on another brand.
Yeah, hey Trevor, you were troubled by what I was saying the other day about the Usos, but again, this current landscape of tag team wrestling is part of the weakest in history.
I wasn't all the way troubled. I was troubled more because of the team you said that was better than them. That's what really happened.
But they are. I mean, I mean, you could try to job Tito Santana and Rick Martel, but you can't deny their work rate. You can't deny that when they were a tag team, they were a good ass tag team. But the Usos, again, they have that notoriety just by being champions and being aligned with the bloodline, and they're now. Whereas in the day of Strikeforce, it's a different time, different era, whatnot, and their run wasn't as long. But that's a great tag team that'll get overlooked because they only were together for like a year or so.
Okay, let me ask you a question. And do you think New Day was a great? Okay, who's better, New Day or the Usos?
New Day. Hands down, New Day, man. Come on. Any combination, by the way. Any combination, any of the two. break down the combination any way you want. They better.
Oh my goodness!
I'm just saying.
Come on, Bones. Bones.
Nah,
Come on, Bones.
I want to go with the Usos.
Come on, man.
I ain't going with the Usos on that, man.
Bro, this man,
with the
this man said the new they were great.
Plus the one thing that you can say about the Usos, the way they evolved from where they were to how they are now. You know, I like character development in pro wrestling because it's a story, just like you watching a movie or a soap opera. So I like to see character development, and they developed a lot. And man, they had some fire matches. Not saying I knew they didn't, but I would say the Usos.
I remember, and my wife, she reminds me all the time. I remember going to shows before they got this edge, and they would come out and they do what do they call it? The thing where they stand in the aisle and they do that. We're from Samoa. We're from Samoa. And then they'd be like, when I say ooh, you say oh, ooh, and you would hear crickets. You wouldn't hear a damn thing. So I watched the Usos from coming up from very, very humble beginnings, but I think they're great in ring. But when I hear Vank again, you're gonna hear over here, me and Vank gonna agree a lot more than we were doing in the past. But it's just the whole Strike Force thing. It's like he's gonna. And I didn't think Strike Force was bad, but Strike Force was a transitional team if I've ever seen one in my life.
Mm-hmm. You can say that. You can say that.
Okay, so here's a question: How long do you think before they break the and Triple H did say that everyone is available to be drafted, which is probably why Braun Breaker hasn't been called up. He's probably going to be drafted to like a SmackDown, or he seems more of a fit for SmackDown to me. How long before you see the wrestlers cross promoting again? I give it 6 months, if even. I give it 6 months.
Yeah, I'd say about 4 months, probably.
So what's the point then?
Well, I mean, this will be the first draft under Triple H, so maybe Triple H will hold it. I mean, maybe. I mean, we I know we're in a weird time right now, but I think if Triple H, I don't like Triple H, but I like Triple H. It's like this weird thing with me and him. But I've been impressed with what he's done with WWE since the Castle pay-per-view up to now. I thought, he's making the right move. So let's see what he does. I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt because he kind of earned it with me.
So you like business Triple? I mean, obviously you like business Triple H over wrestling Triple H.
Yes.
Yeah, but Triple H is like one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. But a lot of that is because he's such a great bad guy. I love the bad guys. I'm a heel minister. I love the bad guys.
But he has that notorious run in it with the what they call it, the Reign of Terror.
Yeah, the Reign of Terror.
That produced some of the worst wrestling stories, scenarios, and angles of all time.
But Roman's doing it now.
It's not as bad as Triple H. It's not as bad as Triple H.
Yeah, there was a time when Triple H was just burying people, like the Booker T and everything.
Yeah, and it's just stupid. It's hard to watch wrestling right there.
Yeah, he buried Booker T. Booker
T wasn't the only one. He did the same crap to Scott Steiner. Pretty much, if you associate with WCW.
Listen, I never understood that, and I never got your thoughts on that. Like, how could they bungle? I'm probably saying the wrong word. How could they bungle Scott Steiner and Goldberg's first run? How?
Yeah.
How?
By being WWF, which is petty. That's all they do is just this whole pettiness with the rivalry with the companies. So that overrides smart business decisions every time. That's what happened to Sting. It's just crazy.
Scott Steiner. They had Scott Steiner. They had Big Papa Pump. And in a matter of months, they had him doing debates on TV against La Resistance. You know what that was almost as bad about, and I just saw this the other day, and I it's funny because I wrote WCW an email when this happened. It was as bad as WCW, what they did to Mike Awesome, made him that 70s guy in the Fat Chick Thriller. Like that was the. I'm like, bro, how you got this killer from ECW? How do you have him as that 70s guy?
Yeah. I mean,
and a lot of times I say it a lot. I'm like, well, why don't you book your own company? I really think that if the three of us put our heads together, we could make some compelling ass TV.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not that hard with this talent, man. I sit there and I'm like, well, why? Like they need, you know what they need? They need a quality control guy. You know, in my line of work, we have a quality control department. We can't send anything out unless QC checks it off. You got to have some type of checks and balances to say, boy, you know what? That's kind of stupid. And somebody with some foresight that'll be like, man, you know, maybe if next week you got to think about what's going to happen next week. Jim Ross always said it like you book backwards. You know your destination and then you go backwards from it. It's like they really forgot how to do that. I don't get it. I really don't get it, man. You would think the older they get now, the wiser they are, and oh god, it's just infuriating sometimes, man. All right, next, yeah, what's up?
Hey, I gotta run.
Oh shit! I wanted you to. All right. I want you to just answer me on this last question. What do you? And it was next on my list. What do you think about AEW announcing last week that they're gonna run Wembley Stadium?
Well, I think it's a good thing for them. Hopefully, they can sell it out. It'll be good. It'll be a good one for them.
It holds 90,000 people.
They can sell it out.
It holds 90,000 people.
What does that mean now? What does that mean?
AEW ain't drawing 90,000. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. AEW, you know what? They better configure that stadium for maybe 30,000 because if they configure for any more, they're going to get their feelings hurt. All right, Bones, I know you got to go, man, and that's probably all that noise I hear in the back, man. Peace out.
Yeah, later.
All right. Vancat, what was this? SummerSlam 1992. They put about because you know they probably worked the number, but they said it was like 80 plus thousand. Like they packed that thing out.
So you got it. So if we're doing the WWE math, you'd have to subtract about 10 to 20,000 off that.
Well,
to
they
get
said
the real number.
They said 90. That's why I'm thinking it was more like 79, 80.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, because they said it was like 90 plus thousand in there, like 92,000, some ridiculous number, but the stadium only holds 90,000. So there you go with that. But
yeah, I don't even trust when WWE announces the weight of the wrestlers. I don't even trust the weight announcement.
Yeah,
let alone anything they say is just not going to be realistic.
But come on now, honestly, you really think AEW as constructed right now could put 50,000 in that stadium?
I see. That's what I'm thinking. It's going to be like 50, 60. They could do that, of course. They could do that for sure. I don't think that the fans in that region, in that area, is like, oh, it's AEW. I don't think I'll be watching that. Like they're wrestling fans. That community loves wrestling, so they'll come out for it.
I think you're being like real generous with that. I would love to see them do it. You know why? Because if they can do it, then that means that their product is really hot. Because if you can't sell out in the UK, like you said, the UK got the craziest rabid wrestling fans. They'll watch me and you work a match. And by the way, the last time me and you had a wrestling match against each other, you kind of took liberties with me. I like to bring this up real quick. We listen. You were the champion. You were the backyard champion at the time. Oh, don't act like I don't remember. I remember. You were the backyard champion at the time, and me and you agreed. We did the backyard deal, and we agreed that you were gonna go over, but you was gonna shine me up. You was gonna make me look good. You let me hit one stinger splash on you, one, and then you hit me with the stiffest lariat in the world and folded me up like a cheap suit. That match couldn't have lasted all of 2 minutes. So to me, you don't do business. You're the Shawn Michaels of this thing. You don't lay down for nobody.
That don't work for me, brother.
You the Hulk Hogan. Yeah, that's what I should have said. You the Hulk Hogan. Yeah, that didn't work for you. You don't remember that, did you?
Nah, that don't work for me, brother.
You don't remember that, right? Man, we had work.
I've had a lot of matches, man.
But many matches. We worked this match out. Listen, for the 1990s, I had a mat classic with Johnny. Johnny carried me. Johnny carried me like Ric Flair carried any local jobber back in the 80s. I mean, Johnny hit me with a power driver. Johnny let me hit him with a chair shot. I hit him with a crutch. He tried to bust me open, but I wasn't going for that one. But I mean, Johnny gave me a good match, man. We had a nice, good match. And in that match, the storyline was that I showed, I worked myself up, and I don't know how to. I think I beat Fish, and I ended up getting the title shot. So we worked it out where we were supposed to get. I was supposed to get the title shot. And hey, even the commissioner Tyrone told you, hey, you got to make him look good. Don't go. And he's like, oh yeah. I hit you. I never forget, man. We locked up. I whipped you in the corner, hit you with one stinger splash. I didn't even get a work punch. I didn't get a kick, and you hit me with the stiffest lariat in the world and folded me up like a cheap suit. And I will say, at that time, I was only like 170 pounds, so I was like little back then. So you were like you are a heavyweight champion, and I was. And not for nothing, you were wrestling at that time, like not collegiate, but amateur wrestling, right?
Yeah, I was on the team. I was on the wrestling team.
Bro, you took liberties, man. I feel like I just had to bring that up, man. This was crazy, man. Those backyard wrestling, man, that was fun and dangerous at the same time.
Oh yeah, super dangerous.
I remember Johnny hit me with a super kick one time. Oh my goodness. Like my whole front of my face was stinging. Like I just saw stars walking all the way back home. Like I was like, holy shit, he hit me hard. But yeah, man, those are the good old days, man. Those are the good old days. So, all right. So you brought it up earlier. There was a story that broke, not really broke, but it was from an Instagram post with the daughter of Eddie and Vicky Guerrero did a long Instagram post, which was already damning enough, but what was more damning was her mother's reaction. I have the transcripts if you want, but go ahead.
Well, essentially, she said it happened in just before COVID, early 2020. They were on a cruise, and the stepfather sexually assaulted her, and from what she's saying, other people too. But she didn't want to get into who it was because it's their thing. She shouldn't put their information out there. And so she later on went to the mom, Vicky Guerrero, let her know what happened, and she was just like, just pushing away from that being the issue. And then it became her sending out posts about how she's a narcissist, and she's I guess she had like a car accident and the guy paid for a car or whatever, and how she's out to get money, and how she's just self-absorbed, and all these negative things she's just throwing at her daughter, when her daughter just said, look, I was violated by the guy you married, and she's defending the guy over her own daughter. And I was just thinking, like, my God, Eddie Guerrero has passed away, and you would think, okay, you have a surviving parent, and that's the last person on the planet that is going to provide the protection for the kid that they created together. And she is just not giving a goddamn about her own child. And I mean, okay, so a lot of this may be alleged, but I mean, I'm going by what she said. And Vicky Guerrero, you know, her posts just sound like a lot of hate behind it. So you have the transcript. You could say, you know, what it is, but it's just
I got
a very troubling situation. I had no clue this was all happening.
Yeah, I got it in front of me. So so Sherilyn Guerrero claimed that her mother told her the alleged incident was a mistake and not who he is. So here you have a situation where a mother is defending the husband over her child. So Sherilyn goes on to say that she does not feel protected by her mother, and so that she's been blocked communicating with her. So now here's the crazy shit. So hold on to your seats. So Vicky Guerrero, 54, fired back at her daughter in a since deleted post on Instagram. And I quote, "There are two sides to a story," Vicky wrote. "Over 15 years, my relationship with Sherilyn has been hostile, and I have tried to deal with her with a narcissist person. Not only myself, but close friends of Sherilyn of over 10 years and family have cut ties with her because of her manic behavior. I tried to do the therapy thing with Sherilyn, but she always says no, and that I'm sick, not her. Sherilyn, please tell your side of your character of being drunk on the cruise and having guys in your room, then crying because you thought you were raped, and then demanded us to go to the pharmacy in Bahamas for Plan Bs. You want to play dirty and sling Chris and I through the mud? I have my own pile of mud from you." Oh boy. So Vicky Guerrero, post goes, and this is from the New York Times that I'm getting this from. Vicky Guerrero, who's been an on-air manager in WWE and AEW, said that her husband had financially supported Sherilyn. Here's another quote from Vicky. "Are you enjoying the 2 cars that Chris bought you, the 3 apartments you bailed out of, and the 2 surgeries we paid for you? Your lies will catch up, and I feel bad for you," she continued. "Sherilyn, not once have you spoken to Chris about the situation, but you can go on social media and tell all. But that's how you communicate. Another example of you manipulating and harassing others. I am done with you and tired of the years of manipulation, lies, and disrespect. I kept quiet for years because you never seeked therapy to learn how to have an adult conversation with me. It has always been your way or nothing at all. Okay, Sherilyn, not only will I see you in court, but you and I will no longer be related." And here's the last parting words from Vicky to us. "For the fans who feel entitled to comment, fuck you. You hear one side of the story and you feel entitled to comment on something you know nothing about."
No, I mean, okay, the whole thing is messed up. That last array of words right there, I was like, my God, that's the mother. Yeah. But on top of that, this is the part that makes Vicky look bad among a multitude of items that make her look bad. But the daughter put a post out because a lot of wrestling fans were piling on Vicky Guerrero. So she put a post out saying, "Please do not attack my mom. We want to go through this matter as best as we can, but please resort from, bashing her." And, so that was kind of big. And for a person that's supposed to be a narcissist, supposed to be self-absorbed and all these things that she states that she is, I don't see why she would do that. But, anyway. But again, she never denied that the guy did not rape her. She never denied it.
She said it was a mistake.
How do you come to a point where you say that? And
about
again, this is all
child.
happening. I know, and this is all happening when Eddie Guerrero has passed away. It's like, if you pass as a parent, you and the other parent survive, you at least feel some sort of relief that you have one of you there to help the kid. And oh my God, if Eddie Guerrero only could see what was going on here, this is ridiculous and unbelievable.
That's why it's like one of the very few fears that I have, that I would leave this world and, not be there to protect my daughter. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, I know my wife would take care and everything, but not to have me there, to protect her is just scary as shit, that any guy could come in and who knows how he would try to, finagle his way in. And I mean, that's why when I heard the story, like when you asked me about it and I went and looked it up, I'm like reading it. I'm like, oh my God, man, what happened? Like how? And the fact that instead of the mom saying, let's deal with this behind closed doors, now what the mom does is, now let's get into a mudslinging contest. Right. Oh, you had a bunch of guys come in the room. We had to get plan B for you. Oh, how about the amount of apartments that you ran out on? Oh, I'm like, come on, man. What?
That you were drunk and all this other stuff. Oh, come on. I don't feel to believe any of what she said.
She is legit defending her husband though. Like, and we see that a lot with parents get married to they get married to a new person, whether man or woman, and then they take they take the side of the other party, man. It's like, damn, that's rough.
Yeah, that's amazingly bad by Vicky Guerrero. Not only did she play a villain on TV, and she literally playing a villain in her own household. That's
yeah. She's a real heel. Like she ain't no joking or playing around there. Like that's a real heel right there. That's a real villain, man. Wow. That shit is that's crazy, man. And I hope, you know what I'm saying, I hope they could get past that, man, because there were quotes from the other daughter, but I don't have those. But she was she didn't seem too like she was on her sister's side, but she also wasn't on the mom's side. She was more so like she just wants to stay out of it type thing. So it was more like, she was more of the opinion like, let's just bury it type thing. So hopefully that hopefully they get this taken care of and cooler heads can prevail. But all right, so let's see where we are here. Let's go to another story. Have you heard the recent Bret Hart interview?
Oh no.
That's why, man, Bones had to go. But so recently Bret Hart was on Bret Hart was doing a podcast with, I think it was called like HN or HN, something like that. And Bret Hart being Bret Hart, you know how Bret Hart is. You're gonna always get a good quote from him. So this is one of the things he said, and not for nothing, I agree with what he says. So here's Bret Hart. I really roll my eyes at how pathetic wrestling is today from top to bottom. All the top wrestlers and all the middle and bottom wrestlers in WWF and AEW are all slapping their leg on every and every slap. It's like it's to the point. Well, everybody, name every wrestler. Every wrestler that throws a super kick. It's like to the point now where I can't watch wrestling today. Sadly, it's getting too phony, and I really question the direction that the people that are in charge of wrestling are taking it. AEW is kind of gone in on a bad direction, and I think with all the violence and gore, Dean Ambrose sticking a fork in someone's head for 5 minutes with a close-up on TV, this isn't wrestling either. So first, that's
not wrestling at all. No.
So first, let's talk about the thigh slaps. I'm gonna tell you something. What's real funny, and it's crazy because it's just me being crazy wrestling fan. I used to Alberto Del Rio was real good at it. Like whenever he would do his step up enziguri, you'd hear that hit, and I'd be like, man, that kick sounds good. And one day, me and my wife were watching NXT, and Adam Cole was wrestling, and he hit a super kick, and then he hit another, and then she was like, wait a minute. She looked, and she was like, he's hitting his leg. She said he's hitting his leg every time he kicks. And it wasn't until she said that that I realized, like, oh shit, that's where the noise is coming from. And it was something that I could never unsee. The thigh slaps in wrestling are terrible. Like it's, to me, there should be no place for that at all.
Well, it's not just the thigh slaps. I mean, that is like in the forefront, but there's a whole array of things that are done in wrestling that are not reality, that are not logical. For instance, Sami Zayn is notorious for this. Goes up on the top rope, he jumps off, he's doing nothing. He's just letting himself open to get hit. He did it against Roman Reigns. He did it against everybody he fights. And the worst part is WWE's slow-mo team, slow motion in it, really bringing it to my attention. And it's just annoying. And it's not just Sami Zayn, but my God, Sami Zayn every time is in that situation. But that's got to stop. The whole group of people waiting outside as a guy does his taxes, makes some tea, and then decides to jump off, and they're all just standing there and like, what? When I used to watch wrestling early on in the 90s, it was the moves looked to do something to help you win the match. Today, it feels like the moves are just like to execute something to say you did it, but I don't never feel like the what we've seen is really benefiting in the match as far as like, oh, that's going to help him wear him down so he can get the win. This is, oh man, did you see that backflip or that move or that whatever, just to make the crowd go, ooh, ooh, ooh. I don't care about that. I much rather see a match that looks like it's an actual struggle between two ends trying to make a win out of, who can capitalize from a mistake or who can do a move that can get a win out of the match, and it could feel organic. This is not what we're seeing. We're just seeing things being done for the sake of it being done. And it's very troublesome right now.
It's all to get the this is awesome chant.
Right, which that's lame. It's what it is. That's really what it is. It's just lame.
Yeah, well, I mean, but the couple things that ruin wrestling, this is awesome chant and the what chant.
The what? Austin's what is awesome.
Just two things I wish they would.
Well, I mean, the fans will go overboard with it. Yes, I do agree. Yeah, they do.
I mean, it's just ridiculous. But to Brett's point, so he talks about Moxley sticking a fork in the guy's head. I didn't see that, but I don't not believe it, because Moxley bleeds in every single match. Back in the day, you didn't bleed until pay-per-views. You know what I mean? Like red means green. That was the slogan back then. You weren't just busting the guy up on regular TV. You got to make people pay to come see that. But this guy bleeds. This guy could be wrestling the opening match for 2 minutes and he's going to bleed. Like they have completely killed the gimmick.
Yeah. And it's so bad that, you can watch a match where guys are going at it and they don't bleed. At best, they have a bruise on their head or something. And you're like, you just saw some of the most impactful wrestling ever, and they're not drenched in blood. So why are these guys, 4 minutes into a match, not doing anything near or remotely as close as, like, say, the Steiner brothers or something? And they're like, these guys are bleeding buckets. Like, it's just stupid.
Jim Ross said it. Jim Ross used to say this all the time. He was like, with the he said one of the stupidest spots in wrestling is the 10 punches in the corner. He said because if I'm going to punch you in your head 10 times, you're going to bleed. So it's like the fact that they do these 10 punches and they come out with zero blood on them is it's not believable. It's just, the
unbelievable part is the guy just looking up at him, and they're taking their time
and holding him. He's
holding. Oh my God! There's so many
legs.
Yeah, wrestling has a lot of issues it has got to address, and these are the things that make it like hard to watch wrestling.
Well, you posted a video on Facebook the other day where I'm assuming they were two Mexican wrestlers. So the one guy is up on top, like waiting for the guy to set him up for his finisher. And then the one is propping the other guy up as he goes to the top for the superplex position, and then he ends up getting power bombed like directly on his neck, and they ended up stretchering him out. Like, I mean, this is getting to levels of just complete absurdity now. Like, I mean, the waiting on the tables, there's a lot of suspension of disbelief when it comes to wrestling. That's why a lot of times when you guys hear us talk, you'll always hear us say back in the 90s, back in the 80s, because they weren't doing all that then. It was more clunky. It wasn't as polished, but I remember that first Starrcade card, Starrcade 83, a lot of those matches ended with one punch.
Yeah.
Like, whereas now you could look at our champion. I mean, shit, our champion has a setup move called the Superman punch.
Right. Which people are kicking out of lately. I don't know why.
He hasn't finished anybody with that. I don't
know.
At all. If he had 3,000 matches, he may have won 2 with it. I don't think he's ever. I don't think he's ever finished anybody with the Superman punch. But again, you have a move called the Superman punch, and you're not putting anybody's lights out for the 1, 2, 3. There's a lot of things in wrestling, man, that I look at and I just got to roll my eyes, man. As spectacular as the Ricochet move was at WrestleMania, and it was that double springboard. I mean, that was tremendous. But the guys were waiting for him the whole time on the other side. I mean, it looked great, but logically, my logic would have just said, "Hey, let me just sidestep." It's like with the Montez Ford.
Joe.
Yeah, it's like the Montez Ford thing in Elimination Chamber that I hated, where he climbed up to the top of the cage and everybody was just standing there for him to backflip off of off the chain link fence. It looked cool. But when you think about it in theory, like it was stupid, right. because it happened on the outside. So it's not like he could have pinned anybody.
Right.
And it was just ridiculous. I told y'all, man, on this show, y'all are going to really see me and him agree a lot, man. Like, a lot of this stuff is we got to call it out, man. It's if it's good, it's good. If not, man, it's stupid. Right. So Bret Hart has some more. So this I didn't really. I guess because the wrestlers that are involved, I kind of took offense to it. But what he was saying, I could see coming from his era. So he says he was watching Clash at the Castle. So Bret Hart says that it was embarrassing to sit in the front row and watch all the kids in the audience slap their legs as the wrestlers slap their legs in these kick spots where they pretend to kick each other with the shin pads and slap sounds over and over. To realize that the crowd is in on it, the entire floor is clapping and slapping their leg. I'm going, we used to try to make it real. What happened? Everybody's in on it. It's a big giant charade. I had a hard time feeling the fan part of me come to life. When I watched when I watched Dungeon Wrestling and I'm watching this young girl wrestle, just watching her take someone over in the headlock and having a real headlock on was so much more than anything I saw in Cardiff with the wrestlers over there. It goes back to simple art. Wrestling is an art form. All art is simple. Wrestling is a simple art that really is just storytelling or good versus bad most of the time anyway. And it's as easy, and it's an easy story to tell. Wrestlers have been doing it for decades, and wrestlers from 2005 and up don't know anything about telling stories or what headlocks are.
Yep.
One thing about Bret though, man, Bret ain't gonna sugarcoat anything. So he says so he goes on to say, when I see wrestlers today just slapping and the crowd going woo, and everyone keeps slapping on one another, and these guys have welts all over their chests and blisters in their chest hurts the night and they go, geez, I was an idiot tonight to let somebody slap me on the chest as hard as he could 500 times. And my chest is killing me. That's
we just saw that at WrestleMania.
Yeah, well, hell,
people love that match, but
he's talking about the Walter. He's talking about Walter and Sheamus here. That's what they used to do to jabronis back in the old days.
Yeah,
they would chop them, beat them, and slap them. I remember shit reminds me of a spot in the Royal Rumble. I want to say I forget. I think it was Royal Rumble 2001, where the Tough Enough winner came in and number 3, and Chris Benoit and Eddie Guerrero just murdered that poor guy for like 3 minutes straight.
Yeah.
That shit was crazy. So Brett says, I would never let a guy slap me and chop me. Ric Flair is the only guy that ever chopped me. He usually got to me in the end where I would tell Rick, you can give me one chop in the match to get it over with. But as far as the match goes, I'm not going to sit there and stick my chest out for some guy to slap me on the chest for an hour. That's not what wrestling is. It's not about hurting yourself. It's not about coming back to the dressing room and feeling everyone knows it's not real, right? They all know what's going on. So why are you letting someone slap you and chop you and whip you across your chest and hurting you, and you're in pain all night, and you wake up the next day with blisters all over your chest and then do it again the next night? It's just stupid. I agree. When it comes to the Walter chop spots, I mean, I love it just because I'm a Walter fan. So there are certain things that I just Gunther. It's just certain things that I'm gonna look past. But yeah, when Sheamus does the 10 beats of the barrel, what did he do it on Drew? He did it 29 times.
Yeah.
In reality, I just asked Drew the question, why didn't you just drop?
Right.
I mean,
earlier. Earlier.
Yeah, so I get, but Brett, a lot of times though, I mean, and you guys, that's why I wish Bones was on, but a lot of you guys, because that's his favorite wrestler, a lot of you guys treat Bret Hart like he's the greatest thing ever. But a lot of times he comes off like just a grumpy old man.
But he's not. He took pride in his moves and his matches having a bit of a logic to it. I mean, you could always appreciate it. Look at the match he had at SummerSlam in 91? Mr. Perfect in him. When he won the Intercontinental title. That was his first major singles push there. That match was great. And, you see the over the top of like Earthquake and Hercules and Tugboat and all these other weird big guys, right? And you watch that. Then you watch a Bret Hart match. And it's the most grounded in reality for the most part. Even in WCW, when Bret Hart put the shield under his jersey, and then Goldberg did the spear to him, that was a logical thing. It made sense, and it was smart. When he's involved, wrestling has more of a gravity to it that you can appreciate.
Again, I agree. I mean, Bret Hart, I remember growing up and we would always marvel at the simplest move, but Bret Hart made it look perfect, the side Russian leg sweep.
Right.
Like that was, and to see Logan Paul do it at Mania and do it so great looking, I was like, man, what a nod to Bret Hart, because nobody would hit that side Russian leg sweep like Bret Hart. Bret Hart, and the way he would take that chest bump in the corner, and he could listen. But I always say Bret Hart's style wouldn't work today because the fans aren't conditioned for that. You can't give a fan where guys are jumping off of Titantrons and doing dives in the 50 tables piled up. You can't give them that for all these years and then turn around and say, oh yeah, you know what? We're going to go back to the way we used to do it. We're going to have a mat-based match where they don't go outside, but maybe one time to do a rope break, a time break. There's not going to be any tables. There's not going to be any chairs. They're going to keep it in the ring. They're going to work a headlock. They're going to work a hold, sell something. I mean, that was my criticism in the Balor and Edge match. I get it though, because they both were playing characters. So the story in that was their characters are supernatural, blah, 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 blah. But those dudes were hitting each other with some sick shit, and they just kept getting up. And it's like, at what point? And the problem that always gives me is like, man, they gotta top it. So Mick Foley gets thrown off of Hell in a Cell into the table. So now what do? Now they gotta top it the following year.
So I never look. I mean, I love when those days were limited, so that when it happened, it mattered and it stood out. Now we're in a situation where that's just a Monday, you know, and it's not like, oh my God, remember back then when they did this and blah, blah, blah. It's none of that. It's like, okay, we'll see you again next week with the same nonsense. And that's lame on an epic level, because now you're desensitized to it. And I used to love watching like Arn Anderson defend the TV title back in 90, 91, 92. He would just defend his TV title. He would have this intense combat. He's drenched in sweat. They're going at it. And I used to love that. I remember watching Ricky Steamboat and Steve Austin, stunning Steve Austin, just going at it one Saturday morning, not thinking it was going to be anything spectacular. And it became like a Steamboat Macho Man, a Steamboat Flair type deal. And it was just nice to just see the competitiveness. And that's what I love about wrestling, the back and forth nature, the ups and downs of it. I don't need a guy to risk his life and come down on his head, like we've seen people come down on their head off the top rope. Why did we even have to have that? It was wrestling. There was no need for that. And so when you saw Flying Brian jump off and hit the outside rail and whatnot, that's not an every week thing. It's every now and then. And it's for certain guys that go off the top.
So why do you like the Young Bucks then? I can't. It's like you talk all this fundamentals. Me and you love the same type of wrestling, but you like the Young Bucks. And I
did not say I like the Young Bucks.
I could bet you anything you think they're better than the Usos.
I did not say that. I'm just saying I didn't want to diss the Young Bucks, but I do respect the way they came, how they came up. I kind of respect that, but I'm not a Young Bucks fan.
What's going on, Solar?
Hey, what's up? Yeah, I'm a little out of my pay grade on this conversation. I don't know who the Young Bucks is. I don't know nothing. I wanted to ask a question though. It may be off topic.
Okay.
But what happened in WrestleMania? Did Snoop come? Because I've read that somewhere. I read that it was like an article that was saying something. Snoop got involved because Vince McMahon like hurt his abdomen or something like that.
No. Vince McMahon's son made his return, Shane McMahon.
Okay.
To kind of get into it with the Miz, and so he hit the ropes and blew both of his quads out. Just like his dad did in 2005, which is the funniest thing in the world, like father, like son. So Snoop was on the outside, and the referee in the ring didn't know what to do. So Snoop, being a wrestling fan, he got in the ring and he was like, well, shit, let me just call my spot. And he basically had a match with Miz. So he saved the segment. he legit saved the segment with like the ugly, what would you say, Venk had the ugliest people's elbow?
Ugliest hit of the rope of all time. And the ugliest elbow of all time.
Did he win the match? Did he win the match?
Yeah,
he won.
Wow.
Yeah, but the way
so none of that was scripted. You're saying
no. That
it was on the fly. It was on the fly.
Snoop went in the business for himself on that one. He saved.
That was a business move by Snoop.
Yeah. He saved the segment. But now they're selling his belt on WWE Shop. So I'm almost certain he's going to get a portion of that.
Yeah, that belt looks good. Actually, I was watching it before we got on there.
Not for nothing, I would rather that belt than the current one. like if they were gonna change it, I would rather that one because that belt looks, it's gold. Like it just looks better. But Snoop he saved that segment because Shane went down, man. Shane went down like a sack of shit, man. He blew both quads out, and That was it.
You watched it in real time, so you see it, like they took him out on the stretcher and everything like that.
Well,
they didn't care about him like that.
Yeah, they left him in the ring because the ref didn't know what to do. She only has like 1 or 2 years in, so she didn't really. So she's called. You could actively see her calling to the back to get instructions as to what to do, and then they started to shoot high. So they didn't want us to see what was going on.
Right.
And then that's when Snoop just came in the ring. And then that's when the medical team, they pulled him out of the ring. And then like the behind the scenes, you could see where they got him out of there. But yeah, Snoop saved the segment. Miz, he hit Miz with that elbow. Like it wasn't a worked elbow. He dropped it on the Miz.
Yeah. So now Snoop. So what? Snoop is the world champion now? Like,
No. Snoop was a host. He was a co-host of WrestleMania. So it was a throwaway segment. It was just
okay.
Yeah, it was just a throwaway segment that shouldn't have even been there. They should have had LA Knight in there, if anything, or Bobby Lashley, and he just made them look not bad. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Speaking of Bobby Lashley, Venkat, you didn't see Bobby Lashley and Bronson Reed for Monday?
No, I did not.
Yeah, those two big bastards had it out, man. That was something. That's gonna be a good one. They, it was a no contest, but them two jokers, man, they had it out.
Bobby Lashley's the man. He needs to get that championship.
But you gotta, I wouldn't mind seeing him feud with Roman. All right, so let's get into this. Because we're not, Solar, we ain't gonna be on here much longer because I wasn't, we weren't even planning on coming on tonight. But so let's do this. We want to show a list of the current champions.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're gonna show a list of the current champions, and then we want to give our thoughts as to their next feud. It's going to be hard without Bones for a lot of them.
Yes.
Unless Venkat could guide me through this. But
no. Some of these guys are foreign to me, man.
All right, so first we're gonna go over to TNA, and I have them ranked kind of like of order of importance that I think they are as champion. I'm not even going to disrespect the TNA champion. Let's go to NWA first.
Okay.
And that title's being held by I was about to say Brodus Clay, by Tyrus, former Brodus Clay over in the WWE. His title reign was from November 12, 2022 and he's still their present champion. Do you know anything about this guy? I obviously know him from WWE as a Funkasaurus.
Right. That's mainly what I've seen a couple, just like literally maybe 2 of his matches in the NWA. I just wanted to see him in general. I mean, he is obviously going to get pushed as their champion because he is the most relevant because of his past WWE affiliation. So that's why he's the champion. But I'm hoping that, because he's obviously not going to be a big draw like that, even though he's the biggest name and that's why he's a champion. They need to get him involved and create a new star feuding with him or something. So I don't know where this is going to go yet. But, if we had like a clash of champions where you got all these guys facing each other, it'll be a first round knockout.
So I will say the best thing about him is that title. I love that old NWA title.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah,
like I'm looking at it right now. I'm like, holy crap, that belt is awesome, man.
It has so much history behind it too, so that's what props it up.
And then it just looks like something you want to have as a championship, though.
Mm-hmm.
Just look at it. Yeah, I got nothing on Tyrus, man. My biggest thing with Tyrus is he's a contributor to what, Fox Network or Fox News or something like that. Yeah. So that's all I got with him. So let's go over to Impact. So now the Impact champion was Josh Alexander. He suffered an injury, so now the title is vacant. So title vacated due to Josh Alexander and Josh Alexander requiring surgery for a torn tricep. So I'm assuming they're going to hold a tournament.
Hold a tournament. They're
going to hold a tournament.
But they probably just say, "Oh, this guy and this guy are going to face each other," and that'll be it. I mean, it would be nice to show a tournament and make it an event.
So what do you know about TNA? Because admittedly, I only watch. You'll see who I watch. I watch WWE, AEW, and NXT. So I don't keep up with that. That's why Bones. This is normally Bones' department with this when it comes to these your TNAs and things like that. So
I just casually brush by it on YouTube. I'm just in and out. So I'm all out of context. What I'm looking at is probably from a couple years ago, and then sometimes I'm watching current. Like I saw when what's the name debuted there a few weeks ago. Oh God, the funny guy from WWE. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm over 40. I'm getting all black in my mind now. The guy, Santino Marella.
Oh,
when he debuted there, and he had like a little funny skit when he came out. But I don't like keep up with them that often. I know that Impact is not TNA. Like it's TNA, but it's not. It's like different. Like it's a new company that purchased it from Carter.
It's not Discovery. I forget the name of it though.
Yeah, but it's like a different backing behind the company, and they kind of simplified their presentation. Obviously, they don't have as much money as they used to have before Hulk Hogan came and destroyed the company. Which it's not the first time. So what I don't like is they did what WWE did. They're going off the name of the show as the name of the organization. I don't like that. Like they shouldn't have called. First of all, TNA was one of the worst names ever for a wrestling company. That was just stupid. And Eric Bischoff talked about how they were. It was hard to get sponsors and just any kind of legitimate business going with that kind of name. TNA is just stupid. So now these new backers, they purchased the company and they're calling it Impact off the name Impact, the show they had. But I mean, I wish they had a 3 initial name as a
okay.
That would be better for them. But so they're like, to me, really low. NWA is small. The current NWA today is small, but at least it has that lineage behind it, so it kind of legitimizes it, even though they're so small. Impact is just like something that could have been better, and they just dropped the ball on it. So man.
Yeah, well, we spent more time on Impact than I would have ever done. So let's go on to the next federation. Then we have MLW. Now I'm gonna tell you. So Alexander Hammerstone is their champion. I used to watch MLW back in the day when MJF was still there. So I knew MJF before he became what he is now. So I always knew he was going to be great. So people that think that I don't like MJF, I used to watch him before he became the guy that you know.
Right.
And I used to always say that this guy, Hammerstone, was going to be a champion. I just thought he'd be a champion in WWE right now. I mean, because when you look at him, he is what Vince wants. Like when you look at him, that is if there ever was a Vince McMahon guy, is him.
No, he looks like he looks legit. He looks like so far out of the champions we've looked at, this is like a real looking champion here as far as looks.
Yeah.
Don't know too much in the ring, but as far as looks, he looks like one of the legit champions.
He's gotten a lot better.
Okay.
Yeah. He's gotten a lot better. I say that. They got a guy over there. They got a guy over there that they call him like the Samoan werewolf.
Mm-hmm.
Jacob Fatu, that guy's the truth, man. And I thought for sure he'd be the fourth Uso by now. He'd be, you know what I'm saying? Like, I thought, and he, he'd always hint on Twitter, you know, to the Usos and stuff. So I thought maybe they try to bring him in for a stint here and there. All right, so now let's go to ROH and my boy Claudio Castagnoli, formerly man, what the hell was his name? Oh my God, I forgot his.
I know. Over 40 brain going at it
Yeah,
again.
man. Why did I? Oh, Cesaro, and yeah,
Sorry. Yeah.
one of the greatest wrestlers and strongest men in the world. And I think that WWE totally misused this guy. They could have had this guy could have a great match with anybody. They never saw him. They never saw him more than the US title spot when the US title didn't mean anything. If he was a US champion now, it would mean something. But the knock on him from Vince McMahon was always because he couldn't speak, because you couldn't hear, like when he talks, you hear the accent. Vince McMahon hates accents for whatever reason. When the majority of his roster is, you know, foreigners.
Right, exactly. God forbid he sounds like what he is. I mean, my God.
Yeah, but like this guy, man, can you imagine like all the what you would do, man? You'd be like the first Swiss-born WWE champion, and man, I would sell that like crazy, man. I put the marketing machine behind him, or just give him a manager.
Right, they think to push for the wrong things. Like you push Del Rio. You push for him because of the Latino market, but in the wake of everything, you've missed out on so many other potential situations and stories that could have happened and made the WWE bigger. But it's that one mind, that one tone that McMahon has. You know, it's just so limiting.
This guy is so awesome, man. I remember on his way out, Brian Danielson was on the like the creative team, and he pushed for Claudio to get a championship match against Roman, because I'm like, wait a minute, they're putting Cesaro in a match with Roman. But come to find out, it was because Brian pushed for it. He did beat Seth at WrestleMania, so it you know, and I hope he's doing good over in Ring of Honor. I don't watch Ring of Honor because I don't think I know where to find it. No, I think you had to buy. Don't you have to buy like the Honor Club or something like that?
Right, and that's the problem with wrestling today. It's hard to figure out or get the access. Like that's the beauty of the WWE's Peacock deal. It's like one place and you get everything for the most part. You can't get Raw for whatever reason. They're not giving you Raw live at all. So
I get Raw on YouTube. I get Raw on YouTube TV because we cut our cable like 5 years ago.
Yeah. I don't have the cable anymore either. I've been cut that many years ago. But it's just
Honor Club
it's harder to follow some of this. Some of it is on YouTube, but then they'll have their events, and then you got to figure out where to see. Even with AEW, I have no idea how to get to their pay-per-views. Like I don't know anything about how to access it.
I may be wrong, but I think they're on traditional paper. No. You buy their pay-per-views through Bleacher Report, and that's is another stupid thing. So with the UFC, we had this conversation with the UFC show last week with the UFC and the whole the UFC Fight Pass. So you got to have Fight Pass in order to be able to order the pay-per-views. So you got to pay for Fight Pass and then
pay for something else.
Then to pay for something else.
That's the most busted idea ever.
Yeah, but I mean, shit, it works. But then you have Ring of Honor is on the Honor Club, and then you have what's the other? What we were just talking about?
NWA.
NWA. I think NWA is on YouTube. I think Impact has their own streaming service. No, but AEW, in order to get their pay-per-views, you have to be on. It's called like Bleacher Report something. So you got to sign up for the Bleacher Report. Bleacher Report has their own type of streaming service, and then you get the pay-per-view through there.
They need to do a deal with one big company, like I just hypothetically, like ESPN, right? Do a deal with ESPN, get your events seen, because once it's so exclusive. First of all, you're such a low promotion. You're so small as is. You're not gonna break out. The people that watch you, they watch you, and that's as far as it's going to get. They gotta be able to be accessed through Netflix. They need to get a wrestling company under maybe one or two of them under Netflix. Netflix needs to have their own, and then when they have their live events, it gets streamed right there on Netflix live, and all their past content will be available on Netflix. Stuff like that. They need to branch out and do things. Get with Hulu, get with all these things. HBO Max. It doesn't need to be just this one silly way. They need to break a deal with a known entity so that more eyeballs, younger eyeballs, can get to these things, because it's such a pain in the ass to get to see their stuff. Only Peacock deal is huge for WWE, because that's why the viewership is so high, because it's much simpler to watch their stuff now.
That's $5. I mean,
I get it for free, but
so
I get it for free.
Let me tell you about this. How they got me. I've been paying for Peacock ever since it came out, because what happened when it came out, they were like, "Oh yeah, Peacock is going to now carry the WWE Network. So in order to get access to that, you got to pay the $5." Like so Peacock is free, but then you got to pay the $5. But then when the way they were wording it, they were like, "Oh yeah, then you got to pay an additional $4.99 to unlock some other feature of the network." I think like the pay-per-view side of the network. That's the way it was sold to me for years, for however long they've been with them. It was just last month before WrestleMania. It was just before WrestleMania when I realized, I'm like, wait a minute. I don't need to be paying this additional $4.99, and I finally canceled it. So now, I've been paying $5 for it, and I still get everything. So why the hell was I paying them that extra $4.99 the whole time, and I still was getting commercials?
I don't think that was a WWE effect. I think that was like more like their other content that you're probably paying that for something that you wasn't even interested in. But right. Mine's is legitimately free, and it's been free like that for years. I just never watched it until last year when I said, I got to start watching it. And plus, they threatened to cut it off because they could see that I wasn't watching anything on the box. So it's a part of the condition with the Xfinity. They give you Peacock for free with the box that they give me. So I just decided to watch it, and I've been getting into it slowly, and it just kept increasing and increasing. So it's been good.
Okay, because I was wondering, I'm like, well, how the hell did you get it for free? But so it came with the package. Like with our cell phones, we get Amazon Prime for free, and right. I just found out we got HBO Max for free with our cable, with our internet company. So
that's good.
Yeah, so they'll try to they try to throw in those little perks to keep you going. All right. So, and honestly, I like that. I like that belt too. The belt doesn't look like a world title belt.
No, it doesn't.
It looks more like a TV title.
Mm-hmm. Or a tag Intercontinental.
Yeah. It looks like a secondary belt. It doesn't look like a world title. That belt that you have up in the right top right hand corner. What belt is that?
That's the Ring of Honor's world title. That's how it used to look. The one he's holding is the current. But
why
that's
did
how
they change that?
I have no idea. No idea.
Oh man, you mean to tell me they went from that nice looking world belt to this TV title? And I like this TV title, but it's a TV title. You know what it legit looks like? It looks like the TBS title. It looks like you just name a secondary belt. But I do like I like your belts though to have the gold plates though. So I do like it, but the one up the top is much better. All right, so we got 4 more champions to get to. So the next champion is the NXT World Heavyweight Champion Carmelo Hayes. He won the belt on WrestleMania weekend by defeating Braun Breaker, and he is currently the NXT champion. And it looks like his next opponent is going to be Grayson Waller, just based on everything that happened last night. So what do you know about Carmelo Hayes?
Not a goddamn thing,
bro. All right, just
goddamn thing.
So just go to NXT and just watch anything from Carmelo Hayes.
Okay. I've been watching on NXT. I've been looking at like Charlotte Flair's like debut and like the matches subsequently. It was been pretty good. It's been pretty interesting.
NXT used to be really good back then. It had really great storylines because that's when Sasha and all of them were there.
Yep.
Yeah. You know what's really good? So it was an old episode of NXT. It was Bayley when Bayley was champion. The Hugger Bayley was champion, and she wrestled Eva Marie for the title. Eva Marie was the whole storyline was built around like Eva Marie being the corporate pick. So they flew Michael Cole in, and they handpicked their own referee. They didn't even want to use NXT's referees, so they stacked the entire deck against Bayley. Man, but it was a show long storyline that ran the whole show.
Is that the one where Triple H came out and she was crying or something?
No. That was when she beat Sasha.
Oh,
okay, okay. Yeah, this was just a TV title match, but they built a whole storyline around it the entire show. And it just I love those. They don't do that enough where they'll build like a show long storyline and then pay it off at the end. But that one was really good. But this Carmelo Hayes guy, so he hasn't been around too long. He won their I forget the name of the tournament that they run for like all the new guys, and then they'll get like a future title shot. But this guy is awesome, man. Athletic. His swagger is like a young MVP to me. Like when MVP first came in,
right,
and he was Vontavious Porter or what it was. That's kind of how he is. I don't care for the guy that he has with him, Trick Williams, because you could tell Carmelo is trying to be. Carmelo is, I'm assuming, trying to be a babyface, but Trick is still more the heelish, want to cheat and all type of things. So I'm looking for them to split up soon. But no, Carmelo, he's really good, man. Like it's just one of them guys you have to just watch.
Right.
I mean, he's good young champion. They had to put the belt on him, man. I mean, because Braun Breaker was a champion forever, and you can't have Carmelo there for so long, and him not get a chance at being a champion. But this kid is great, man. He's like superstar great. Like he could show up. He could show up on Raw or SmackDown tomorrow and just kill it. Like if he was to show up on Raw and SmackDown tomorrow and take out Theory or something, I'd be like, okay, no problem. But yeah, he's great, man. Go ahead.
So in NXT, there was a guy, a black guy,
Apollo Crews.
No. This was a guy that I guess he had issues preying on people online or something of that nature.
Talking about the Velveteen Dream.
Yes.
Patrick Clark, man.
I was looking at a video about him. It seems like he had a lot of promise, and he had potential to be something, and then it just derailed by ignorance and ridiculous behavior, I guess.
This one hurts my heart because that guy could have been like 20 years from now, we could have been saying that he was the greatest ever. Like and I don't just throw that around, but this kid, because he had prior wrestling experience. He came in through the what's the TV show they did, the Tough Enough.
Right. Yeah. Yes.
And they actually voted him off.
Yes, and then there were people were outraged. Big Show, Chris Jericho, all these people were outraged about it, and they said give him another chance and blah blah blah. So he didn't come back, and it seems like he was good with storylines. He did a little Prince thing.
Yes, that's what happened. He was a jobber essentially. He came in and he just lose to everybody. And then they start running these vignettes for this character called the Velveteen Dream. And then when he came out, we were like, okay, because he had like the Prince hair and the Prince shirt, and he would, where you think he is, but you're not really sure if he is, and they're not
Right.
going too over the top with it, like WWE is known to do.
Right.
But he ended up just getting in feuds with all the top guys. You got to watch the match with you got to watch the match with him and Ricochet, him and Aleister Black, him and Tommaso Ciampa. He ran a feud. He ran a whole feud with Aleister Black just because Aleister Black wouldn't say his name. Because
yes, they were talking about. Yes, I remember that.
Because Aleister Black wouldn't acknowledge him.
And then at the end, he finally said it.
Man, that match was so great. And then once it was over, Aleister Black walked out of the ring. Then he turned back around and he was like, "I acknowledge you, Velveteen Dream." And as he's laying on the ground selling, he just looks up and gives that smirk. And what Velveteen Dream was good at, he did a lot of cosplay. So apparently, he's a big Hulk Hogan fan, because one of his matches he came out as NWO Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
Man, that guy was great. I think where they ruined him is what's going to happen to Cody Luger.
Cody Luger.
when you have the chance to just put the title on the guy and you don't do it, they lose that steam. And they had him losing to he lost the title match to Adam Cole. And it's like ever since then, it just
that's not what did it for him.
Well,
what did it for him was his ignorance of always being on drugs, and then doing getting into altercations, physical altercations outside of wrestling.
Yeah, but that was after the fact. I don't know about the drug thing, but the altercations were after the fact.
The drug thing was going on. I mean, he himself even said how certain wrestlers and him were high and stuff like that. So the drug thing was an issue from way back, and he just seemed to have squandered a huge opportunity. John Cena was high on him, proclaiming him to be the future of wrestling and stuff like that.
Telling you,
he had high praises. Shawn Michaels was high on him.
They were thinking about having him wrestle John Cena at a WrestleMania.
Yes. That was one of the matches.
I'm telling you, this guy was that great. But
then he's like DMing guys, talking about he's gonna help their career, but then he's telling them to send nudes of their shows to him. I'm like, all right, God. The more you find out about it, it's like I didn't even know who this guy was until I saw that documentary on him.
Man. When I put my list together, like the biggest wasted potential, it was him. Like, he's got to be number one. I mean, because man, when I tell you this guy had it all, man, he had it so good. He's the only guy that I know in his matches. He could in the middle of his matches tell Vince McMahon to call me up to the main roster. He was doing that in the matches. He was wearing his number on the back of his trunks. Somebody call me up, Vince, call me up. Bro, this man was awesome, man. Like, he had, because you know that type of character is going to get over.
Right.
Because he wasn't beating you over the head with it, and he wasn't coming out like, hey, I'm gay. He was like, I'm just a flamboyant guy that still hit on women, because he had all the women with him. So it's like, man, that character was he would have been the next
level of Goldust, like on a higher level.
More like what Vince wanted Johnny B. Bad to be.
Right.
Because the quotas that Vince McMahon said, I thought I was getting Johnny B. Bad, but he couldn't get Johnny B. Bad because of the trademark and everything. But that's what he wanted. He wanted Johnny B. Bad. He didn't want Mark Merrow.
But Mark Merrow for longest was a jobber in WCW. I remember him getting beat down by Sid Vicious and whatnot before Johnny B. Bad. I remember those matches like it was yesterday.
And Mark I hated the Johnny B. Bad character.
Yeah.
I hated it, man. All right, let's get we got 3 champions. Let's get to the next champion, and it is the the New Japan Pro Wrestling Champion, IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, as Bones was talking about earlier, Sia Sonata. That's a glorious belt, man. My goodness. My goodness, man. That says world champion to me.
Right.
You still have the name of the company in the middle, but it look at the gold side plates and everything. Come on, man. That belt just looks like it weighs 20 pounds.
Yep.
If you want to hear anything about this guy, go back to the beginning of the show. Bones broke him down pretty good, and the whole thing is of him beating Okada, because unless you know anything about him, I know absolutely nothing about this guy.
No, just that he's a new champion. We're talking about April 8th.
Yeah, he won the champion, 4 days ago?
Yeah, I mean, boom. He's the man right now. Man, I wish that they would have like Triple H's idea of what he's doing, having NXT in different regions.
Yeah,
and then at some point culminating, preferably in a WrestleMania context, have a meetup there where you get like the best of the best to fight each other. I think I've wanted that forever. I can remember being in school writing down like potential matchups, of like NWA, WWF, AWA people. There's like different people that I would like to see matched up against each other, and then it would be like I even thought it'd be like similar to like the Olympics. It would not happen every year; it'll happen every 4 years or something like that to make it special, and then you'll just have a situation where, oh my God, your best guy loses or your best guy wins, and you would just have this epic like meetup between the organization. But because of Vince McMahon's ego, we can never have that. But the closest thing we can have is what Triple H is trying to do, which I hope he does it, that World Cup of Wrestling that he wants to do. But we have to see.
So we always talk about like having all this forbidden door type stuff, but I think the problem is, remember they tried it with Super Clash, but no promoter wanted his champion to lose. Like when Super Clash 3, Kerry Von Erich and Jerry Lawler, WCCW didn't want Kerry to lose, and AWA didn't want Jerry Lawler to lose that match. So that was a big political thing, like who's going to win that belt. So I think a lot of times,
but that's the problem with that, because you have to take the hit now for the greater good of the industry. So if you can perform shows like that have these big time intriguing matchups, and now you could lead storylines long term to lead to that moment if you plan it out properly, and it could be this big epic thing. And I mean, WrestleMania, I never understood why WrestleMania is really the biggest, best event. I mean, we know why, because of the promotion of Vince McMahon. But if you have the biggest event, it should be for the championship at some capacity. So it should be like a Future Shock, Iron Man tournament type deal. The NBA Finals, the World Series, the Super Bowl, it all culminates with a tournament of some sort that leads to a championship. And like, we never have that. We just never have that. I would love to have something build to something, and then the ultimate payoff at the end, where WrestleMania is not really that. It's just a card full of matches. That's
a bunch
it.
of matches.
Right. None of these things organically came from like a competitive standings or anything. It's just, I don't like you. I don't like you. We're gonna fight. And I wish it had more meaning behind it.
Yeah, WrestleMania should be like the Olympics of wrestling. Like it just
right.
Especially with this breed of wrestler now, because they're all friends. I doubt any wrestler now would be like, I don't want to lose to you. Like that would work back in the Austin days and stuff, because those guys back then were like
ego.
Yeah. I think these guys now would just be like, shit, yeah, be like, just make me look good. You know what I'm saying? Like it was so. Yeah, and with Vince looming around, I don't know if we're ever going to get it, man. Yeah, he would have to be completely moved out of the way. All right,
Yeah.
so we're going to go to our next champion, and it is the AEW World Heavyweight Champion, Maxwell Jacob Friedman. And first of all, this is my favorite belt currently in wrestling right now. I mean, look at again. I just think if you're supposed to, the championship is supposed to look like a championship, like when
the greatest prize.
Yeah, it has to look like something that I want. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think the Stanley Cup is like the greatest trophy in sports because it's how big and majestic it looks. People say it's too big and blah blah blah. It's supposed to be. It's the champion.
Right.
It says that you're the best in the world at what you do. And this belt just signifies everything. So he's had the belt since November 19, 2022, and he's the current AEW champion. So like I said, I've been watching this guy since he was on MLW. So I knew he was going to be great at some point. I didn't know it was going to come so fast, but tremendous promo, even though I get on him for cussing a lot. And it's funny, Zay sent me a video earlier of a cameo that somebody paid him to do. You know, because I guess they were. I gotta send it to you. I guess they were making fun of him, of the guy for like collecting wrestling cards. So he paid MJF to cut a promo on the guys that was picking on him. Well, MJF turned around and cut the promo on him. Man, that shit was crazy.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
what a bastard.
Yeah, that shit was funny, man. Yeah, he called a man every name in the book. It was awesome, man. It was I loved it. Yeah, this guy, like this is your shit dirty bastard heel.
Yeah.
So that's why I would like a guy like this. Like, this guy is just, I love the Ric Flair types. The Triple H Reign of Terror guys that wears a suit and everything. I just love it. I mean,
MJF, you know, he's really great on that microphone. I mean, when you listen to him, I mean, when CM Punk came in, I was watching, you know, all their promos and whatnot, and it was like big must-see TV stuff. And, you know, CM Punk, you know, he's very quick-witted and he's great on the mic as well. But MJF, I think, shined higher than CM Punk in those moments, and he delivered on the mic. Now you have this match that he just had, the Iron Man. It solidifies him in the ring as well. But he's always been decent in the ring. I just think he's gonna keep rising as the world champion. I think he's gonna carry the belt well. I don't really see anybody beating him this year, but yeah, I could be wrong because there's a lot going on in the behind the scenes at AEW. All these guys that are now like gearing up to face him, but I think he'll be a very good champion once his reign is all said and done.
Yeah, he's. I wonder what they're selling that belt for. That's a nice ass belt, man.
Yeah, I see some YouTubers with the belt. I'm like,
man,
because I tried going on Shop AEW just to see it. Like, it wasn't there. I didn't see it there.
There's a lot of companies that make, you know, outside of like the AEWs and the WWEs that make these belts.
Yeah, like I saw like Ric Flair's title. There's a company that makes it. They make it way better than WWE's version.
The Fandu belts, because they make it with all the tooling marks in it and everything, and it's so layered. And I was looking at it. I got that website bookmark because I like the big gold belt is my favorite, man. But this AEW belt is nice, man. So I don't really know who. Because I haven't been able to watch in a couple of weeks. I don't know who his next opponent is, who they have set up for him. So, you know, again, that's like Bones' department. So he's really into everything. So he watches all the non-WWE stuff for us, so he could just come back and, you know, give us the rundown on it. But yeah, MJF, great champion. I do think that cooler heads are going to prevail and they're going to get CM Punk back, because I think a CM Punk MJF match might be your biggest bet to try to fill that stadium, that Wembley Stadium. I mean,
Well, yeah, that would be a lot
that
of
would be the
intrigue.
match.
Yeah, that would be a lot of intrigue for that.
Yeah, that because CM Punk is going to come back as the shit. They might do a double turn in that, but that would be the match though. Like, Punk against MJF. Like Punk never lost that belt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you had to give it up. Okay, give it up during due to injury. All this stuff that's going on behind the scenes. I think that might see again, man. If I was booking, I'd be thinking about the money. I mean, listen, man, we could make X amount of dollars if you guys get over your little girly feelings and let's do some business.
Yeah.
I mean, because CM Punk doesn't have that many more years left in him, so you might as well get what you can get out of him, and he's still under contract. So,
right.
and I want to say from what I heard, he might be close to being back in wrestling shape. So, from the injury and everything. So, we'll follow that and see what's going on, what happens with that. But the only thing I wouldn't do with this belt, I would change that E in the middle. I would make them. I see what they're doing with the whole AEW, and you offset the wording with the middle letter. But if they made them all that one color, I think it'll make it look a little bit more prestigious. Like the way that E looks, it could just be in this
picture. You think it takes away from it?
Yeah, I think it takes away from it just a little bit. Now, not to where I'd be like, oh, it's ugly, I wouldn't want to wear it. But no, I just think if all three of the letters were the same color, man, that shit is badass. I remember when Jericho, when they debuted it and Jericho won it, I was like, wow. Yeah, I was looking at that. I was like, damn.
Yeah.
That's a piece of merchandise right there. That's a collector's item. That's a nice piece of collector's item right there that I'd like to have on my shelf one day. All right, so let's go to our final champion. And our final champion is the god of wrestling himself, Mr. Soon to be 1,000 days, Roman Reigns. So his title reign. So this is saying April 3rd, 2022. That's for the WWE title.
Right.
So he's had the WWE title since last year WrestleMania, but he's had the Universal title since 2019, since December or January 2019, somewhere around there. But he's had it for 3 years, and he's closing in on 1,000 days probably next month as champion, and he's not going to be at Backlash, so it's not like he's going to lose the title there. We may not see him until Money in the Bank, if even then.
Wow.
Again,
it's a part-time champion, man.
Again, there's my. I mean, at least with Cody Luger, we knew we would have had a champion defending that belt every month, every week on TV with the belt. On TV with the belt. I mean,
that's a lot of sacrifices that the guys on the roster have to take, because he's taking away 2 titles and working less time. So the whole championship scene is completely shut down to prop him up and to bring up his star. So payback is due. Payback is due big time, and it'll be sooner than later. I'm hoping he does not go to WrestleMania 40 with that title. I'm thinking SummerSlam. It's over.
I would, man. Yeah, they got to get the belt off it. They got to get that belt off
because it just becomes more and more insulting to him and him beat up everybody on their roster, which makes the whole WWE look weak. And things got to change, man. We held down stars that could have been made just to get this guy. A part of his reign as champion is doing dirt time. Like 2020, 2021, that's all garbage time. It doesn't really start to be real until 2022. I mean, 2020, 2021, they're not even an audience in there. They're just trying to just make TV just to pump something out. So a lot of that reign has a bunch of garbage in it. So you know, he can't go much because the eyeballs are on this product heavy now. Heavy. Since Triple H has been running the show, the eyeballs have been on WWE heavy, and they've made a turn for the better. It seemed like AEW just took the opposite road, and WWE just went a different way that was way bigger and better than they've ever been, and they just keep breaking records.
That Monday Night Raw helped even it back out a little bit because.
Well, you know that's something I want to say about that though. I don't think it does not make any sense whatsoever to have the biggest freaking event of the year happen on a Saturday and on a Sunday, and then you turn around and do a Monday. Come on, that's overkill.
Yeah, it is overkill.
So I think Raw should not happen on Mondays after WrestleMania, or they should have Raw be like, I don't know, like interviews only, no wrestling at all. It's just like Michael Cole and them, like just like breaking down what had happened on WrestleMania, just reviewing the show match by match,
for like an hour special.
Right. It should not be a actual indie arena. It should be in the studio. Michael Cole and them, they have to work for their paycheck, and they just go over, they just help you digest what happened on WrestleMania, give you behind the scenes footage of like what was going on that we didn't see on the pay-per-view. That's how you do it. Give your wrestlers the rest they need. Matter of fact, after, just like in basketball, the basketball players, they complain about All-Star Weekend being too short, like the rest period, because it used to be you would play the All-Star game on a Sunday and then you're playing again by Wednesday or Tuesday. So they never had a real break. LeBron and them, they pushed for it. So now All-Star Weekend happens and now they get a whole week off. And I think the WWE guys, they need to be off. They don't need to be filming or taping any SmackDowns. Give them a week off, for God's sake. And just have a different type of show that whole week that just digest WrestleMania. If it's the biggest show, you need to have a break from that, you know. And I don't think any wrestling fan would be like, "Oh man, I want to see it." And that's why you got that bad show. The show should be bad because if they gave you everything on the weekend at WrestleMania, what do they have left for Monday?
Yeah, they don't play football after the Super Bowl.
Exactly. But wrestling again, this notion that you just that's why that thing ended like that. They had no intention to have Brock Lesnar and Cody wrestle Roman. Do you think Roman Reigns was actually going to wrestle after he did that? He was not going to wrestle the very next night. That's why it was set up that way. It was to give the illusion that something was going to happen, get people excited, and then boom, have that swerve happen, and then just go off the air with that. They weren't going to actually put in a match, so they need to reevaluate. And again, they need to value those wrestlers' time a little bit more. That's why I'm so against those house shows. I'm so against non-televised matches. Like every time they wrestle, it should be on film or on TV or something.
Yeah, that was. I mean, I can't. And this past Raw from this week was I thought was pretty good, considering that half the roster was stuck during with travel issues. But yeah, I kind of agree with you. Like having just a studio show, it would make it feel like it was such a big deal versus okay, on to the next.
Right. How do you really get the gravity of what happened?
Yeah.
If it's just another par for the course, it's no different than any other pay-per-view. It's just
show do an interview show Cody in the back, Cody Luger all dejected and everything and all pissed and
right. There's a whole angle you could do just off of interviews. No wrestling is required.
And you know what? You still could have shot the Brock Lesnar Cody angle in the interview session.
Exactly. Exactly.
Eventually, we'll get jobs in the business, man. I already thought that you'd be doing their production. So eventually, we may be able to get on the booking. You may be able to get on some type of creative team because, like, our ideas are a shit ton better than what I've been seeing put out there. So, are you guys getting a lot of rain up there?
It was earlier. Now it's quiet.
Oh man, I'm getting alerts like crazy. We got tornado warnings, flash flood warnings. Yeah, it's been raining for like 3 days now.
Well, yeah,
yeah. And
After Saturday was so sunny.
Yeah,
I was at the beach. It was like hot.
And I hear it's supposed to last for like 6 more days. So, yeah. You know what's funny, when we moved here in 2020, we moved here in September of 2020, and I want to say like in October, a hurricane came and it rained so bad that it just flooded the entire all of South Florida was underwater. Pretty much the swap shop looked like an ocean out there. I don't know if you saw those videos where it was so much water there. The parking lot was completely covered, and it just looked like a big body of water. Like you couldn't tell if it was the ocean or, what the hell that was out there. It was the damnedest thing I ever seen. It was so flooded out there. The fact that it would be so flooded at the swap shop, but it never crossed the gate and came over, over the shit. It was crazy, man. It was, yeah. The nature is insane, man. But I, we hit that 2-hour mark. Didn't think it was going to go this long, but hey, it's always a good time. So I appreciate you coming on.
All right.
And I appreciate those of you who tuned in for Wrestling with Reality, episode 4, this week's Wrestling Roundup. And yeah, we'll be back on. We have so many things that we want to do to watch along with. Definitely I do the Brock Lesnar, John Cena from Extreme Rules. I want to do that Starcade Future Shock.
Oh
yeah. That
there's a lot to say about that.
Yeah, that tag team tournament. That was a great.
Could you imagine that today? Like now, you're guaranteed to see the top 4 guys wrestle, and all these dream matches could happen. It's a nice concept. 15-minute matches
with the
time limits, with the point system. So it was great. Like I heard like certain wrestlers talking about it not being that great, and it wasn't a good pay-per-view for WCW at the time, but our jump was amazing.
That's my favorite.
I got to see I got Road Warriors against the Steiners, Sting against Luger. It was all these matchups that you would never get before, and now it was happening.
I don't know why the Samoan SWAT team was in there though. Not saying that they were a bad team, but I don't know. Maybe
I think it was an injury to one of the other teams. Maybe Midnight Express.
Okay, I thought Doom was supposed to be in there.
No, they weren't in there. They lost. They lost as well.
Wait a minute. You had Doom, you had the Road Warriors, and you had the Steiners and the Samoan SWAT team. So Doom was in there?
Yeah, Doom was in there.
So I wonder who the other
because
team.
Remember, Woman was all pissed. She was mad. They kept getting pinned.
Who was the other? I got to research now to find out who the other team was supposed to be.
4 teams. I believe Midnight Express was supposed to be that 4th team, but something happened there where they couldn't make it. So the Samoan SWAT team were a last-minute replacement. And it's either Midnight Express or Rock and Roll. One of those teams was supposed to be in it.
And then for the singles, you have Flair, Muta, Sting, and Luger.
And Luger, yeah.
And I love the way it started because Luger had the advantage going in like midway through the show.
Yes.
Luger was up on point, man. Yeah, we definitely got to do that one. That was a great. Man,
there was damn show so much storylines to it, so much drama, so many situations and possibilities. They should have been doing that every year. Maybe not at Starrcade. It should have been its own. I think it should have been its own entity.
That's the king. That is the King of the Ring, though. That's basically what King of the Ring probably should be.
That's what. Yeah. That point system awesome. Is great, and you get different points depending on how you win. So even a count out and disqualification. It brought up so much intrigue, and I love that. Like statistic based, like wrestling needs more of that. They need more of that type of situation by scores and points and stuff of that nature.
Yeah, that's why I do like AEW that they keep stats. That keep a guy's win-loss record for the year and stuff like that. And it should be. That's how you determine who's going to be next in line. Like how the hell do you know who's going to get the next title shot?
Exactly. And I wish WWE of all should be doing this. So then everything should restart after WrestleMania. Everybody's back to zero. And then let's just run it again.
And your mid-card champion should always be able to challenge for the main title. I think didn't TNA do that where you could trade in like your belt or something for a world title shot or something to that effect. I know they did that. Or it's something to that effect where you could be like one champion or you could go for the main belt. They did something to that effect, but yeah, I definitely points stats in sports is so much better because it's just like the Miami Dolphins argument. When everybody tells me that Tua isn't a good quarterback, I always tell them, I say, he was like the statistically before he got hurt, he was a top 5 in the NFL leading in all categories, right? I said you cannot deny the stats. I said because for everything you're going to tell me negative about him, I'm going to point you to the stats again. I'm going to show you his touchdown to interception ratio. I'm going to show you his pass per completion yardage and percentage. I'm going to show you that. And you can't deny it. Like the stats don't lie. And it'd be like, I'm going to show you a wrestler that deserves a championship, a title shot, I'm going to show you his win-loss record. But that's a whole nother conversation we could get into, man. So let me go ahead and close this show out.
Before we go, I just wanted to say peace out to Solar.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
The panel earlier. Appreciate Solar coming on the platform.
Yeah, definitely. Piece of bones, man. I know you had to run, man, but appreciate you coming on for the time that you did. Piece of Nene, piece of Thinking Black, piece of Solar, piece of Shalimar, the I forget the name. Let me go back up here and see Shalimar to Zero. Appreciate those of you guys that's watching in the clouds. Now you want to come on as the show's over. But anyway, we're gonna get out of here. Until next time, we got a UFC show this Sunday at 6:00. We're gonna be going over what match is that? We got Forrest Griffin versus Stephen Bonner from the first Ultimate Fighter. We're also going to have MMA fighter Trevor Snurple on that show for an interview before we go over the match. So be sure to tune in for that. Be sure to turn in for that. I have a debate Saturday at 7:00 tentatively against Madan Komet over on SVDL. Be sure to tune into that. Besides that, we'll see you on the other side. Appreciate you, Venkat.
All right, man.
All right, peace. Well, there you have it. Appreciate you guys for coming by. Those of you watching over on the Straight Talk Society on Facebook, please be sure to like that page over on Facebook. And I will say this, I was asked today about the podcast. The podcast has not gone anywhere, but with everything that I have going on, it's been kind of hard to put the podcast together. So it has not gone anywhere. And I will be getting those podcast episodes out. Once I get these next few debates out of the way, then I'll have more time to focus back on the podcast. But it's just the live aspect on YouTube to me is just, I kind of feel like that's what I was meant to do. So the podcast hasn't gone anywhere though. You still could, because I know some, I was told today, I just like to be able to listen sometimes. So, and I get it. You don't want to use your data and stuff like that, watching all the time. So the podcast will be up. I got 60 episodes up already that you can go catch up on. And yeah, I'm gonna make it happen, man. I appreciate you guys' patience for sticking in there by me. Straight Talk Society, I love you guys. Thanks for coming by. Until next time, I'll leave you with these words. Always seek out the truth for yourself, because if not, you'll fall victim to other people's interpretations of them. And with that, I say peace.
this, but it's a must, you gon' respect this. Plus your nuts will touch the dust, you tryna check this. You ain't insane, I write your name down on my checklist. You think I'm playing, I leave you land, I leave you breathless. I'm not a heathen, please believe I'm breathing for a reason. Until I'm bleeding, really feeling this world is so misleading. Sacrifice your life at night while facing certain sorrow. Your existence is at stake, you might not make tomorrow. Lost my heart when I was crossed, don't wanna make amends. Much too smart, my afterthought, don't wanna make no friends. If you're a fraud, then it's so hard to get a second chance. You could die in front of my eyes, won't get a second glance. As human beings, instead of being so many try to be. You ain't seen what I have seen in my society. So F the killers, F the dealers, F the police. Middle finger in the sky till I die, no peace. Middle finger to the world, every man, every woman, every boy, every girl.
Always seek out the truth for yourself.